Welcome into another episode of Red Zone Talk, episode 19. The prayer signs you saw there at the beginning is because Tim froze the second the intro music started playing, and I kind
Nice.
of freaked out. I was like, dude, come on, no way. Yeah, episode 19, heading into the last week of the regular season. We got a lot of football to talk about. I'm very excited to be back. Tim, how you doing on this lovely Wednesday? Another switch up week for us.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Got to watch some good college football playoffs this weekend. A lot of good NFL that happened. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll throw one note about college football out while I can. Firstly, whatever your opinion about Florida State being left out is everything. Obviously, it's been to the benefit of the playoff. They did not deserve to be fed to a motivated Georgia team like that. That was
It's
there. The committee was like, "You're not in the playoffs. Also, here's a team that's only lost 2 games in the last 3 years, and they're pissed because they're also not in the playoffs. Have fun."
I get the committee was trying to do we'll see, like, if you can't compete against Georgia, like, but it wasn't fair because Florida State had so many opt-outs, it wasn't even really like they played Georgia. And honestly, Georgia had a decent amount of opt-outs, but their backup players are way better than the second stringers on Florida State versus second stringers on Georgia are way different levels. So
Yeah, and my only other gripe was like they held Florida State out because we're trying to get the best 4 teams in. If we're putting the best 4 teams in, then Georgia should have been the 4 seed, not Alabama. And I think
disagree,
like
but
so
it's so hard to say that, especially when we saw Alabama beat them in the last week
yeah,
of the season.
and I always have lived and died by the rule that if you lose your conference title game, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. You cannot have a loss that late and then still make it
I
usually.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because it'd be null and void next year. Like literally next
True.
year, this conversation is over.
It,
So
it's been a long
yeah,
time coming for the expansion. I'm glad it's finally happening.
I am
So
too.
you ready to do some trivia? Get us
Let's
kicked
do it.
off here?
Yeah, let's dive into some trivia. Oh, make sure you follow us on
Thank you.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Where YouTube's doing okay. YouTube, I'll tell you what, man, we're becoming more of a YouTube show than we are anything else. So if you're
Check
watching
out
on
the YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, thanks for listening along. And typically we do a little trivia and then we jump into another segment on the part 1 here. So
Share it, like it, leave a comment, do all that stuff. All right, we're gonna get to them. So
even if your comment's just the middle finger emoji to us, go ahead and
that's
lay it
fine.
on us.
We'll send it
That's
right back
cool.
to you. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's no big deal.
We're perfectly okay with that.
Yeah.
So trivia this week, my friend. Oh, firstly, updated score. Tim's, you're currently up 1. You're up 1 on me right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
That doesn't sound right, but we're gonna go with it.
Wait, how is that not right? Didn't you clean sweep that last week?
I
Thought you
thought I had
did.
7 or 8.
No, I thought you had 10, I
Did I?
thought.
I don't know. We'll
I don't know.
relook at the score.
Yeah.
As of right now, as it currently stands, Tim's up 1 with a chance to grow the lead.
Mhm.
We're gonna go with it. I don't know. We'll have to figure that part out later on.
I don't know if that didn't get updated or what happened there, but
Maybe.
whatever.
Yeah, that's probably what happened if I had to guess. Anyways, like I said, we'll figure that part out after. We got to get to today's. I'm excited. I rediscovered Stat Muse, and I'm happy to bring today's trivia question. We are looking for the top 10 in rushing touchdowns since 2010. So very recent history. Might be an easy list,
Ooh.
but I'm okay with it. Probably going to go with 2 hints. Unless you struggle more than I expect, then I'll give you a third. 3 strikes per usual. Let her rip,
Okay.
my friend.
Derrick Henry has to be on this list.
Number 1, 89
Yeah.
touchdowns.
Since 2010 is such a weird timeline, 13 years.
Yeah, it is a little weird, but
Okay. I'm gonna get some of the easy ones out of the way. I think Christian McCaffrey is here as well.
you would be surprised. He's not, actually.
Really?
I
Okay.
was shocked by that as well. He is number 14. He has 52 touchdowns. We need 56 to hit the list. So he is not just off the list. And also, there's a tie at the 10 spot. So we have 11 names to work with for your 10 points. Okay. So
interesting. No Christian McCaffrey strike.
yeah, your free one. Obviously, you have Derrick Henry. There are technically 3 active guys. Okay. 2 of them have been like your your practice squad, then elevated. They're both currently on active rosters, but like they were and were not. So two of them. The other guy's been active all year, and
Okay.
then you got recently retired the rest of the way through.
Yeah, there's some of them that are really interesting, right? Like Le'Veon Bell's timeline is really interesting. Like I think Le'Veon has to be here, right? Le'Veon Bell's here.
Le'Veon
Yep.
Bell's not here,
Wow, really?
unfortunately. Yeah, Le'Veon Bell is down the list a little ways. He's 42 rushing touchdowns.
Damn.
Um,
Okay. 2 strikes
oh
early.
man, my phone is sitting
That's okay.
right next to the mic there. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah, I'm gonna
Le'Veon
give you
Bell.
3 hints since you burned 2 strikes here early.
That's not good. Yeah, I mean, I guess I might as well use one. The other
You have
guys I was
some,
thinking were were a little bit riskier than that, even I felt. So
yeah. It is a lot of recently retired guys here. I'd say you have an all-time running back, definitely probably one of the better backs of our generation that
okay.
retired 2 years ago. You do have one quarterback on this list.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
so you got our active guy who's kind of our main active guy that's left. Hasn't had a great last couple of years, but had such a dynamite start once he was drafted that kind of carries him into this.
Hmm.
Um, I
Boy,
was gonna go.
you're not giving great hints right now. I'll be real
Am I
honest
not
with
giving
you.
grades? I'm gonna keep bringing them to you.
Ah, let me just hash some thoughts out. Dalvin Cook comes to mind as a recently cut guy who maybe got off to a hot start but hasn't been good the last couple of years. But he doesn't feel like he'd have enough touchdowns to get there. Um, and then
Is
like
this list harder?
yeah,
Like,
this
is this
list might
list a
be
lot harder than I
than you
thought it
think.
was?
Well, there's just so many running backs and they're so good for such short periods. It's really hard to like put your thumb and especially with like a 2000
In a
not a
passing league,
in a passing league in like 13-year time span. Like when you say probably one of the greatest running backs of our generation makes me think Adrian Peterson, but like how much of his career was post to I guess a lot of it cuz I guess
he was drafted in '07, so
07, right? So
you
you're
only
just
missed it
losing the
three
first 3 years.
years.
Yeah. So like but again, it still puts it in a weird spot where he's like in the middle. Um I'll rip Adrian Peterson because he just
AP,
had some good runs.
AP is here. He's second on the list. 80
Okay.
touchdowns. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'll go through some of the draft years here. Um, I mean, you're looking at a lot of guys that were honestly drafted well after. You've got one guy drafted in '07, one in '09. We have an undrafted guy from 2010, so
Hmm.
his whole career's here. But also, our active guy was only drafted in 2016, like our main active guy that's left.
Oh.
Um, and that's the guy that hasn't had a great last 2 years, but was
Mhm.
so dynamite out the gate. You have our other two somewhat active guys were drafted in 2013 and 2015. You have two guys in the 2015.
How,
And
how many of these guys were Alabama running backs? Let me ask that question.
if you count Derrick Henry,
Hmm.
two, I believe.
That didn't make
So
me
you're
feel
missing
better.
one more. Three Heisman Trophy winners on this list, including our quarterback. Um,
I think I know who the quarterback is, which I probably need to rip early. Well,
yeah,
I
and
guess actually, yeah, no, it's got to be the quarterback's got to be Lamar Jackson. There's just no way it's anyone
I'm
else.
I'm not
Hmm.
going to count that as a strike.
Really?
It's
Wow.
not Lamar Jackson. There's a quarterback who was a Heisman and an MVP. Actually,
Oh, it still could be Lamar, but it's probably Cam Newton.
it is Cam Newton. Cam Newton's third on the list.
Wow, where's Lamar on this list? He's got to be close, no?
He's honestly a lot farther down than I thought as well.
Wow. This list
Uh,
is really like a lot harder than you probably thought it would be.
yeah, I thought it was going to be pretty easy, but I think it's always easy when you're sitting there looking at the names. You're like, I know all these guys, but
Yeah.
it's about the guys that aren't there that are going to trip you on the way. So you got our quarterback. Yeah, I'm not good at hints.
Hmm.
50, like I said, 56 touchdowns are threshold here at the bottom. You got the top three guys.
It's just such a meaningless number in today's NFL because it's like I
What is
feel like
56?
a good productive season for a running back is like oh that guy had 10 touchdowns and he actually had 15 in like 10 of them were caught, and then 5 of them were rushed. And you're like, oh, that's good. I can't
Yeah,
imagine Mark Ingram is here. I mean, unless that's the guy you're talking about. I don't know if he's on an active roster. I don't think he is, but he had a good start. But is he like a touchdown guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just not a
yeah.
guy that I would think as like, oh yeah, he's got. When you say 50 touchdowns, that feels like a big number. Um,
To get
I don't,
56. I
yeah,
mean, and well, Ingram was also drafted in 2010, 2011, right around that.
he was right around there.
So you're
Yeah,
getting his whole career in there, and he's a recently retired guy, but that's what most of our list is,
is
So
he's a Heisman winner too.
that he is.
So I'm gonna go with Mark Ingram. It's got to be him, right? Okay.
Good pick there. Mark Ingram is here, number 8, 65 touchdowns, so he makes it by a good
Oh
9.
wow. He
So
was
he's
I
in
always
there.
forget like that stint of in New Orleans, like how good he was at the end of Drew Brees' career.
Yeah, he was really good there at the end.
He just was one of those weird guys where it wasn't like you were like, "Oh yeah, I got to have him for fantasy cuz he's going to like, you know what I mean? He just
Mhm.
scored. He was like a touchdown guy, it felt like. Um man.
So our two other active, right, like they were
Mhm.
on practice squads, got elevated, are both in teams. One is on a team that's got a locked up playoff spot. Kind of, he is the third string back, so
Okay.
that one may be difficult to dig out. The other guy you know very well, his team is fighting for a playoff spot. Probably has one of the more wild playoff scenarios.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
and then the guy that shares the last spot with one of our active guys led the league in touchdowns one year. Was our only undrafted guy, and won a couple Super Bowls in his career as well. A 2-time Super Bowl champ, I believe,
Mm.
back-to-back years.
Man, that guy, I know that
I'm
makes me think
s-
of someone that scares the hell out of me to guess.
with two
Like,
strikes, I'd be scared to guess anybody at this.
yeah, like could LeGarrette Blunt, like I don't even know if that timeline makes sense because he played in Pittsburgh before he played in New England, but he's like the only guy who I can think that won back-to-back Super Bowls.
There's
Uh,
actually two guys on this list that won back-to-back Super Bowls. Truthfully, I forgot that
huh.
the other guy that was there.
He won back-to-back Super Bowls. I'm trying to think who else. Like that's like, I mean, he scored a lot of touchdowns in New England too. So
He did
I'm gonna,
lead the league in touchdowns.
I think I'm gonna die on the LeGarrette Blunt hill. I'm gonna go for him.
Good thing you're not dying on it. He is the
Okay.
number 11 guy here, so he's the bottom of our list.
Hmm.
A short
Man.
career, 2010 to 2018, scored
He
56 rushing touchdowns in that time
he didn't
frame.
play a lot, but like again, him and Mark Ingram are closer than I feel like a lot of people realize. Where it's like they were touchdown guys. Like LeGarrette Blunt was like he'd have like 150-yard rushing games like a year, and that'd be it. But it'd be like, oh, we're inside, like it's third and
He's
goal.
like,
It's like first and goal. Give it to him. Just let
yeah,
him
he's your
pound it.
75 yards, 2 touchdowns kind of guy. Like,
Oh man, that makes me think. I know Marshawn Lynch's career started before. He's an interesting thought. That made me. Now that you've got me on this train of like guys who you just be like, go goal line, give it to him. That's somewhat
I don't
helping.
think it's a pretty good train of thought, I think,
Yeah,
that's gonna ring.
I'll rip Marshawn Lynch. That's fine with me. He's recently retired enough. I feel like.
Lynch is also here. He's number 6 on the list, 68 touchdowns.
Okay.
So let me catch up with where you're at here on who you've gotten.
And then one of these guys is on a playoff team. He's the second back. So he could be in New Orleans. I doubt that. He could be in Atlanta. I doubt that. I'm trying to think who else has weird playoff. It's not Pittsburgh. It's not Buffalo.
Who's
Who
got your
else could be?
crazy. And see, the other thing is like you may not know that he's on this team because I kind of forgot that he was there. Truthfully, too.
When you said the third string guy, I was like, I'm not gonna know he's on this roster. I'm sure.
Those two guys may be tough to pluck out. I will tell you that one of the two you're very familiar with, and honestly, he's probably one of the reasons why I picked this list because I was like, I just want to be able to get him. There's
Very
a very obvious hint that's going to give him away. When we
Mhm.
get towards the end, I might toss it to
As
you.
I sit here with two strikes.
That's fair.
Uh,
Fits your goal line. I think he fits your goal line set. Very underrated guy. Sixth
hmm.
round pick.
Tom
Sixth round
Edward Brady on the QB snap. I'm just kidding.
sixth round pick in 2013. would be the guy that we're looking at. There is
Hmm.
your active. I think he's the second string. He also may be third string. Maybe they're both third string on
Third string
active
guys.
rosters.
Yeah, when you said undrafted, I don't know why Philip Lindsay jumped in my head, even though like it's not even possible that it could be
He
Philip
should
Lindsay.
be here.
But I know that's one of your guys that you just like love and adore.
Big
Like
Philip Lindsay guy.
Owen's dream team would be Gardner Minshew and then Philip Lindsay at
Philip
quarterback.
Lindsay.
Yeah, that'd be Owen's
Hey,
dreams team right there.
Madden 20 Philip Lindsay was a different animal. It may not be Madden 20. It's one of them.
Oh man, I'm trying to think.
I want you to think of like the way I think of Philip Lindsay. If there's any running backs that stick out in your head, you're like, it's my
That I
kind of guy
love.
right there.
Man, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if I have a running back that comes to my mind that I'd say is like, oh yeah, that's my kind of guy. Because my kind of running back is James White, just a guy who does nothing but catch check down passes all day.
All right.
Um, I need another hint. If you've got something that you
Yeah,
can
I'll try
muster up here,
to line some descriptions up. So we still have our main active guy left. He's had a decent year, not great. He's on a new team this year. I believe it's his first year at this new team.
okay.
It's only his second stop in his career. He was in the race for Rookie of the Year when he was drafted in 2016. He's a first round pick that year.
Hmm.
I don't want to. There's another hint that I could throw there, but I think it gives it away.
Okay.
That's our number 4 guy. Number 5, retired in 2020, also won back-to-back Super Bowls in the last couple years of his career. But a lot of people forget, I think, that he won the second one. Because everybody, and I think maybe it's just you and I remember LeGarrette Blount because you're a Patriots fan.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a running back on an opposing team that also won 2. He won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, but it was not with the Patriots or the Eagles.
Yeah.
So it's a couple years down the line
Well,
there.
the Bucks just had so many guys on that team that were like,
Rotating in and out.
yeah, you're just like, who, like what, like because Le'Veon Bell was on that team. He was on the Chiefs too. Like that's also why he came to my mind when you first said that. Man, is it? What was the Eagles running back name? God, why can I see him? He played in Buffalo and Philly. LaShawn McCoy. Yeah, LaShawn McCoy could be that guy because I think he was on one of the Bucks teams, but I don't know. I don't think he was on any other team. Um,
And then
the
another.
the active guy's on a new team this year though.
Let me double check and make sure that this. I'm like 97% sure this is his first year with this new team.
This team. Like I thought of Nick Chubb, but he's hurt and he's too young. Jonathan Taylor, it can't be him. He's too young. Like you just go through your mind of dominant running backs. Alvin Kamara catches too many touchdowns to be on here.
Yeah, so that our active guy, first year on a new team. He's also our guy that remember has not had a great last couple of years, but was so dynamite out the gate when he was drafted. Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate, first round pick, and then our last guy that I haven't really tossed a ton of hints at. It's probably one of the greatest peaks ever, and one of those stories that you're going to tell your kid about, and you're like, "What was he like in that 4-year stretch?" And you're like, "Boy, he was good enough to be on this list in a 4-year peak."
That gives me two guys, and that's the issue with that is it could be Chris Johnson and it could be DeMarco Murray. Both of those guys like come to that mind, but I think both those timelines are wrong.
Are not matching up. Yeah, I'll give you a
Yeah,
free one that
too
DeMarco
old.
Murray is 17th on our list, so it is
Okay.
not him.
I was like, his
But that
peak was too early for
does
this.
not mean that it's Chris Johnson either. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think it's Chris Johnson either.
when I tell you who that guy is, you're gonna be like, "Oh fuck."
Running
I'm
back on a
talking peak
new
of
team.
peaks. I'm talking MVP talk for a running back peak.
Interesting, because all the running backs that come to my mind are all just like Devin Singletary and like all these guys that are just like don't like wouldn't ever
Is
be
Devin
on.
Singletary still? No, he's in Houston now.
He's on Houston this year,
I was
so
like, is he still in Buffalo?
that's like I don't know why that's like stuck in my mind. Um, I'm gonna guess LaShawn McCoy just because I'm out of answers here.
Good man. It is LaShawn McCoy. He won his second one with the Chiefs. He was on the Chiefs team that won.
Chiefs team, okay.
So he went back to back with Tampa and Kansas City. It
Kansas
was so
City.
weird that like
Forgot he was in
almost no
Kansas
one had
City.
ever done it, and then we had like I think it was 4 years in a row almost that it was like Pats, Eagles, Chiefs, Bucks,
Yeah,
and he
jumping team to
was
team.
yeah, and
Hmm.
And it's funny because he played for the Eagles at one point too, but I don't think he
And
won
he's
with
not
them.
the active guy, correct?
No,
That'd
he's
be
not. He retired in
he's
2020.
yeah. I was like, he's doing TV. Active guy.
You're gonna punch yourself when I tell you that active guy. I'll tell
I'm
you that
sure I
much.
am. I don't doubt that one bit. It's not Kareem Hunt. Like I know he's like technically
Think
back
of
with the second team.
think of a running back that signed with a new team. Can you think of anybody off the top of your head outside of Devin Singletary that landed with a new team this offseason?
No.
Should be pretty prevalent in your mind, I think.
Hmm.
Pretty close
Oh,
to
it's
home.
Zeke. That's who it is. It's Zeke Elliott.
It is Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh man. As soon
Matt
as you
was sitting there screaming it.
as soon as like and then it's like he fits the Pats have been so bad that it's just but
Over.
like he fits that exact timeline of like get it to the 7 and just hand it to him twice and he'll
And
get
he
it
was
in.
such an animal the first 4 years in
And
Dallas.
and he's had a better year this year than I think a lot of people want to give him credit for.
I
Like
agree.
he's been good this year. Like I bet Dallas misses him this year. I would feel differently about Dallas if they had him for sure.
I agree. So you've
I don't
cleaned out our top 6.
okay.
You have Mark Ingram at 8, and you have LeGarrette Blount at 11. So there's 3 possible answers: 7, 9, and 10. You need 2 of them. The guy that I picked this list for is still sitting here. Another guy close to home for you.
A guy close to home. God, what Patriots running back could even be
Doesn't
possible?
That's gonna.
It's not Miles Sanders though. I'm trying to think
No,
of Eagles and Patriots running backs, and I can't imagine it's either one of them.
I don't think this guy has made a stop with either of those teams.
And it's not like Darren Sproul. I'm trying to think K-State, Syracuse, like no one pops to mind there at all.
Yeah, this guy that we're talking about here has played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on his 6th team this year.
Damn.
And he's also first year with this team. He spent time in Baltimore. Not that you would probably fully remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Played in Oakland, Minnesota, and New Orleans as well. Not mentioning his current team.
Oh, gosh, I know who this is now. Oh man, how did this take me so long to get? Oh no, now I'm blanking on his name. Oh no,
Come on, Tim.
Latavius Murray. That's who it is. Latavius Murray is the guy.
Latavius Murray.
Onondaga Hill alumni there. Latavius Murray. Shout
Yeah,
out.
I was like, if I say Syracuse, you're gonna get it. I was like, it's the only running back Syracuse active right now.
Shout out to Onondaga High School, man. Yeah. I have no other.
Murray.
Well, let me go. Let me think here. Man, cool.
So
yeah,
you could get one more. You got 2 guys. One of them is our active guy who had a really great peak. Played for 2 teams in the AFC West. Not a great peak. Pretty solid peak. Played for 2 teams in the AFC West. He's now on a team that's already locked in their playoff spot. But again, he is their third back, I'd say. Definitely their third back right now. And he could drop on that depth chart.
Melvin Gordon. Forward. That's who the other guy is. Melvin
Gordon.
It
is. Melvin Gordon.
Is that many touchdowns?
Yeah. Huh. Melvin Gordon squeaks in with 56, tied with LeGarrette Blount for the last guy. Our big peak, our high 4-year peak, and it's probably a guy that you didn't come to mind because you did not think he would have the longevity to be here. Number 7 with 67 touchdowns, Todd Gurley.
Really? Huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
I think that puts into scope just how dominant he was.
I never would have put that together. Yeah.
In that stretch. Todd Gurley, drafted in 2015, retired in 2020. 67 touchdowns in that time frame. Rushing touchdowns at that. And he was a great receiver to boot.
Yeah. He was a monster.
He was an animal.
The Rams would have won a Super Bowl with Jared Goff if he didn't get hurt so much.
I think you might be right, truthfully. Yeah. He could have got him there.
Who was the other guy?
That was it. Todd Gurley was our last guy. Was our 11th
okay.
Because you got Melvin Gordon.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, a couple guys just out. Alvin Kamara right at 12. Josh Allen already at 13. Christian McCaffrey at 14. And Arian Foster rounds out the top 15.
Yeah, I almost guessed him at one point because he was. You want to talk about a dude who was just nasty? It was him.
Underrated.
Really yeah.
Underrated.
All right. You ready to do the next segment here?
Bring it on.
I don't know how I pulled that many names out of my ass, but that was truly
That
not
was a
nice.
great 2-strike performance, my friend, with not great hints to boot.
To be fair, we'll call it a 3-strike performance because you kind of gave me a pass on Lamar. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was one of those lists that probably needed to be 4 strikes just because of yeah, every
I
name on the list,
always,
but the list of people that it could have been is so large that it's like
yeah,
there's probably
that's the part that I
25.
struggle with.
That's a list you could go to 25 guys. You'd be like, yeah, every single one of these guys. You're like, yeah,
Yeah. But
man,
can you
Latavius
pluck him?
Murray being up there. Love him.
I was going to do rushing yards, but he was 11th. And I was like, if I open it up to 11th just for Latavius, I was like, it might give that,
Here, Latavius Murray, I think, will be looked at in history as the Ryan Fitzpatrick of running backs. Always really good wherever he went. Just was like never amazing, never great, but just really, really good. And you're like, I mean, in Baltimore last year, there was times where it was like, yeah, he's probably the best guy we got,
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like you just stick him in there and they're like, yeah, we need a guy like this.
Was it since 2010? No. Who the.
Oh.
Wait, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Latavius Murray
10,
went to
11.
University of Central Florida, Golden Knights, in case you wanted to know. Trying to think of other fun facts.
Latavius Murray did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, he went
transferred.
he went to high school in Syracuse. Yeah, he went to high school at Onondaga Hill.
Oh.
It's technically right outside of Syracuse, but it's
So he didn't go to college at Syracuse?
Nope.
Here I am.
He
I'm
played
glad
he played high school football with my cousin.
That's sick. I'm glad I didn't say he went to Syracuse because that probably would have just fucked you all
I would have
up.
been like, "Ooh, yeah, no, did not."
Jim Brown?
No. He went and played, University of Central Florida. I don't know what offers he had or anything like that, but yeah, he played high school football with my cousin. So
Yeah, just to tell you that, like, if you rushing yards since 2010, he's 11th, 2 yards behind Le'Veon Bell for the 10 spot.
dude's
Actually, if James Cook goes down, he's probably going to be in the 10 spot pretty quickly. Like,
he's in Buffalo. I forget that.
Yeah, he's in Buffalo. Melvin Gordon is in Baltimore. We're the two like practice squad but active.
Oh, he's in Baltimore. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon's our third back right now.
Damn, play him more.
Well, Justice Hill has been so good. Gus Edwards has 13 rushing touchdowns. So I think Gus Edwards is going to have a very similar career to LeGarrette Blount, where you're like, he scored that many times?
It is insane to me that the Baltimore Ravens just don't draft a running back every single year, because that's what I would do. I would just go in the 3rd round every year, be like, hey, all right, what running back do we want that's going to be available in the 3rd round specifically? Because that's all we're ever taking in that position.
Oh, we could go lower than that. I mean, Keaton Mitchell was a 5th or 6th, and
there's always guys every year. Like you said, an undrafted running back. I was like, that's like
that does not narrow it down.
Yeah, I'm like, that's many of them. I'm like, that helps me so little.
It's funny.
You're more likely to find a guy who's undrafted that's better than you are drafting a guy in the 1st round.
Now, I would agree, yeah. But when you look at that list, I think there was probably 5 or 6 running backs of those guys that were drafted in the 1st round, but also they were drafted all before 2017.
Yeah, because I'd say, what's the hit rate on running backs? Like 50%, maybe less, maybe 40
in the 1st.
In the 1st, Sony Michel bust, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
As of late, it's been so much worse, but I also think it's because the numbers of them going down.
Well, and then you have last year too, and then you look at that and you're like, well, Bijan didn't live up to his full potential, but that's probably not his fault. And Jahmyr Gibbs has looked well worth the 1st round pick for the Lions. So
even with limited workload as well.
Yeah. So you never know. You never know.
You just don't see it as much. Like when Clyde is the first guy off the board, it's the 32 pick, but then Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, and DeAndre Swift are the first 3 off in the 2nd. You're like,
there's a guy that you said in there that probably doesn't deserve to be in that group, but that's okay.
Nah, you get what I'm saying though. Like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah. All right, we're gonna do some comparison here. We're gonna compare NFL teams to NBA teams, and kind of go over that. I've got my list cooked up, and you just tell me when you have a team, that you have. Is the Ravens one of your teams?
I don't have them down. I have kind of like a question mark one. I'm curious to see where you go with it.
Okay, mine is the Memphis Grizzlies.
That's the one I have written down with the question mark.
So you have this super talented superstar at the center of this team, and then really good pieces around him. I would argue like I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. is like maybe like, you know, a Mark Andrews-esque. Like you got another guy, you're like, yeah, he's a
Pretty
star.
solid. Pretty
He's
solid,
pretty
yeah.
solid. And it is very reliant. He gets hurt a decent amount, and he gets suspended. Lamar
He
doesn't get
misses
suspended.
games.
He misses games. Yeah, they both miss time, and when they miss time, you know, the team looks somewhat similar actually.
Yeah.
Like Memphis did okay without Ja last year at times, and Tyler Huntley made a Pro Bowl. So it's closer than you would think they would be terrible, but it's actually like this team is survivable. So I thought that was a pretty fun 1-to-1 comparison there.
Yeah, that's who
Um,
I had down as a question mark. I was like, do I like that though? But yeah, that's who I had.
okay. The next one is the Buffalo Bills. I have the Dallas Mavericks for this team.
Dallas Mavericks. Okay, I had the Heat written down with a question mark. I'm curious to see what your Mavericks comparison is.
A ultra talented unicorn at their position, right? Josh Allen and Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Uh, can never seem to get the right kind of help around him at the same time, right? Buffalo cannot find a running back to like help. They have not found the right star to really pair with Luka. And then if you look at their secondary stars, right? Kyrie Irving is oftentimes a little bit of a distraction. Stephon Diggs throws,
Also,
shouts, pouts. He's also a little bit of a distraction.
yeah.
So I thought that was a decent 1-to-1. And they're both guys who were at one point the very best at their position and now are kind of like not at like bad, but they're just, you know, they're getting older. You know what I mean? Stephon
Yeah,
Diggs
yeah,
is still probably a top 10, top 15 wide receiver in the league. But, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, same with Kyrie, we would have said they were top three. You know what I mean? Like they were
yeah.
the top of the top.
Yeah, I had the Heat down because I'm thinking like a team that like gets so close but just can't get over the hump at the end of it, right?
Oh, I've got a
Polarizing
couple
star.
teams like that. So
Yeah, polarizing star at the top, but just gets so close but just cannot seal the deal. Granted,
yeah,
Miami's made the finals twice, and the Bills haven't made the Super Bowl yet.
haven't
But
made it that far. And then you have the Heat culture thing. So that one's
yeah,
like always like a weird, you know, like I would either say Pittsburgh or New England comes to mind for that. Like
fair.
maybe
Yeah.
Pittsburgh would be closer, just like, you know, oh, Heat culture. I hate Heat culture. I hate talking about the Heat.
It's grown. I loved it. It's a little played out at this point. Like I'm
Yeah.
getting a little sick of it now.
All right. Next team we got is the Miami Dolphins. I have the sorry if you hear the feeder going off in the
Ah, there
back
it
here.
is. Beans is
Um,
freaking out.
I have the Miami Dolphins. I have the Phoenix Suns is my comparison for them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So a team loaded top to bottom, right? You talk about superstars all kind of around the board. You got on defense, you got Bradley Chubb, you got Jalen Ramsey. I'm sure I'm missing somebody else on the defensive end, but a really talented is Christian Wilkinson? Yeah.
Christian Wilkins, yeah, he's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still there, right? Really
Javon
like
Holland.
yeah, Javon Holland, and then you go Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert. You have guys that are overperforming. Devon A. Chain, right, at positions, and then you look at the Suns, right? You have Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. Who am I forgetting here? There's another guy that's really
It's a
big.
four
That
star.
I'm,
KD, Beal, Booker.
I want to say it's Aiton, but that's wrong. It's not Aiton, but
Why am I
it,
blanking
it
too?
was Aiton, and then they traded, but they I don't know.
What the hell?
Point being is that team is super, super, super loaded, right? Top to bottom.
We
Yeah.
suck.
Who are we missing? We're missing someone on
There's
that.
a 4 star there. Why am I not
Yeah.
remembering?
Maybe there isn't. Maybe because they traded away Eaton. There's only 3 big names there.
It's
But
Bol Bol. That's who it is.
that's Bull. That's what we were
Maybe
missing.
yeah, it is just. Why do I sit
Yeah.
here remembering 4?
I don't know why either. Because they traded Chris Paul away and they traded DeAndre Ayton away. But point being,
Grayson Allen.
yeah, Grayson Allen. That's Bucks rotational legend.
Ugh.
Yeah, point being super, super star loaded, but never seems to be able to perform when you want them to, right? A lot of hype going into the playoffs last year. Oh, this is the team to watch in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Underperformed. This season have kind of underperformed up to our standards. Miami, everyone like at the beginning of the year, oh, watch out, Tua MVP. Miami is the best team in the league. And then it's like they slowly drift back down to the center there. That's my team for them.
I think it's a good pick. Like I had the Thunder down, now I'm sitting here thinking about it, and the Thunder are the real deal, though. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like it's super young team, both kind of breaking out on the scenes around the
Yeah.
same time. but the Thunder are the real effing deal, whereas the
Yeah.
Dolphins can't seem to beat a team with a winning record currently. So
Okay. Next team we've got is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I actually had the Thunder for that team.
this is who you had the
Um,
Thunder for. Okay.
Thunder for. They won a playoff game last year, right? No one kind of thought they were going to win that game for the most part. Everyone thought like San Diego was a way better team last year. No one really saw the Thunder coming, right? That was a little bit same thing with the Jags. No one really saw that team coming, especially after a 2 or 3 win season or whatever they had under Urban Meyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of came out of nowhere. A really, really young team that has yet to show us what are they? Are they
The
a
full
team that's
level.
going to go to the conference championship or what I mean, their conference championship year after year? What is the potential? Both of them feel like they have trade assets, and it's like, what do we do with it? Are we gonna,
Are we
like,
gonna unload this
are we
or
gonna unload it? Are we gonna keep? Are we going all in? Is our time right now, or is our time in 2 or 3 years? And it feels the same for kind of both teams. Um,
not a bad one?
The Thunder are probably further along than I'm giving them credit for. Like they could be a contender for the title this year, but it's also really easy to say that when
It's
we're
early.
3 months into the basketball season here.
Yeah, we're 25 games in.
Um, Last one we got for the AFC, as you kind of threw it in on me here, was the New England Patriots. I have it as the Spurs just because I like a franchise that is holding on to their old ways and has been utterly disappointing.
Historically great, and I think this will make a lot. I think this comparison lines up pretty damn well when you draft your QB of the future this offseason, right? You'll
Yeah.
have your young stud like Victor Wembanyama, right? They have the best coach of all time at the helm, historically great over the last 20 years, but have
Yeah.
kind of struggled in the last two to
Yeah.
three.
I don't think Greg Popovich is the best NBA coach of all time, but
Fair. He's up there, right? Well, at least
yeah,
in the
yeah.
conversation.
Oh, he's definitely top 5 for sure. I would probably take. I mean, I'd definitely take Phil Jackson over him, and I'd probably take Pat Riley over him as well.
Fair.
All right, let's jump over to the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers. Did you have one for that one or no?
Yeah, I did. I've got the Denver Nuggets down for the
Okay.
49ers. I'm thinking just juggernaut, heavy favorites coming in every year,
Yeah.
just talent through and through, right? They've built continuity, right? There's not a lot of pieces that are being moved around. They're just like, hey, we drafted really well. We signed a couple guys, and we're just going to kind of rock with what we got. We're going to win.
Okay, you ready for this one? You
Bring it.
better keep your socks on. I have the Los Angeles Lakers as that team's
Oh,
comparison.
okay.
And not necessarily star to star. It doesn't always match up, but it is similar, right? You have LeBron, you have AD, you have God. I always want to call him Alex Caruso, but that's not who it is
Austin
anymore.
Reeves.
Austin Reeves, thank you. I don't know why I always do that. That poor guy. Just like I'm like, oh, white short guy for the Lakers. It's got to be Alex Caruso.
Got
So,
to be Caruso.
Austin Reeves. But both of these teams are extremely dependent on one thing. One thing is the biggest factor for both these teams: injuries. Both teams, one LeBron injury, one AD injury. They are that one injury away from being a first round out. Last year with the 49ers, they lost the NFC Championship game because of injuries.
Yep.
When did San Francisco struggle this season? When Trent Williams and Debo Samuel were both injured, both struggled, right? Like
Yep.
they struggled in that time. Injuries are the biggest thing that connect these teams.
Good.
Age a little bit, but not necessarily, right? You have a lot of old heads in San Francisco, right? Christian McCaffrey is probably considered an old running back. Trent Williams is like
Is
could
old.
retire. Yeah, is old, could
He's old.
retire at any moment. Um, so I think there's some good connections there. All right,
Yeah, I
the
agree.
Dallas Cowboys. Do you have anything for them?
Yeah, and I wish I would have remembered who the second team I thought of because this one's going to feel a little disrespectful. I have the Los Angeles Clippers down for
Hey, let's go. We
bringing
find
that
that one is a
through.
1-to-1. Yes.
Superstar loaded, right? Talent everywhere. We've got the pieces at every spot. We've got the superstar talent, but for some reason, come playoff time,
They don't
where are
get it
we
done.
at? Right? Don't have the success.
I think it is such a great comparison that you don't even realize it, right? Ty Lue, Mike McCarthy, both champions on previous teams, right?
Yep.
Holding on to Ty Lue won it with LeBron James. Mike McCarthy won it with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like all-time players there. And every year, like in the last 3 years, it's been if the Clippers stay healthy, This is a dangerous team. This is a dangerous team in the playoffs. And every year we hear Dallas, this is a dangerous team in the playoffs. Show me, win something, get somewhere, and then I'll start to believe it, right? I think this is like the easy. I might have made this list because of this comparison.
Yeah,
Like,
that was definitely the first one. I don't remember who the second team that came to mind was for me, but it was mirroring the same thing, right? Very star loaded, but just can't get over the hump at the playoffs.
yeah, for whatever reason. All right, the Detroit Lions. Who do you got here?
This is the other one that I kind of had the Thunder written down for. Young team, kind of breaking out. And you're like, all right, this feels like we were expecting them to be good, but they've exceeded expectations, truthfully.
I think this one's better. The Orlando Magic. Okay, same kind of run. A lot of young stars coming up, a little bit better than we thought, and historically a really terrible franchise. Right?
True, yeah.
Orlando has not been good for long periods of time. Detroit has not been good for long periods of time.
Ever.
Both of them are oddly optimistic after this year, right? Like Orlando should have felt good about last season because it was maybe the best they've looked in. I mean, since
Since
Shaquille
Dwight?
O'Neal was there, yeah,
I was
Dwight.
like, since
Oh,
Dwight,
Dwight.
probably.
Yeah, Dwight. That's better. I was thinking Tracy McGrady in my mind too. I'm like, not that far back, but yeah, since Dwight Howard was there, right? That's the best that team's felt with Pablo and Franz Wagner. Like, there's some pieces there that you really like, and yeah, and ultimately a really good team that's on the up and up. Okay, the Rams. Oh, this is another one that I love. I think
You've got the last two. Let me hear
okay.
them.
Okay, the Rams. I have the Warriors. Okay.
I thought about it.
Yeah, a team with a really good superstars. You have Aaron Donald, who is past his prime. You have Matthew Stafford, who's past his prime. You have Cooper Kupp, who can't stay healthy. And we could just flip the coin and go, Klay Thompson can't stay healthy past his prime. Stephen Curry can't stay healthy past his prime. I don't know if that's necessarily fair to put on
That one may not be there. He's played pretty decent basketball, but the
Draymond
injury
Green,
issues are a little there.
yeah, Draymond Green cannot stop missing games for suspension, right? So you look at that and you go, this is a team that knows they've got maybe 1, maybe 2 years left to go win a title. They're still good enough to win a title. Both these teams are. The Rams are like Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, and then you throw in Puka, and you throw in some of the younger guys on that team. That team is good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. There's no doubt about it. And
Great
the
head
Warriors are in the
coaches.
same boat. Yeah, great head coaches, Sean McVay, Steve Kerr, like that was one of the ones that I was like, oh, that is such a
That lines up.
1-to-1 there. Yeah. All right. Last one is the Eagles. You're gonna love this one. This one's gonna make a lot of people mad. I have the Boston Celtics as their 1-to-1. A
I think
team
it's a
you
good
look
one.
at and you're like, oh man, we made it to the finals. We made it to the Super Bowl. Our young star he's really, really good, but he just can't break into that. Like, oh, I'm a top 3 player. I'm an MVP candidate every single year. Jalen Hurts and Jason Tatum are on that same kind of trajectory where they're like, oh, like I'm so good. Look at me. And then, oh, I struggle for long periods. And then, oh, I lose in a spot I shouldn't have lost in, or I can't quite do it. And then they bring in pieces around him that you feel really good about, right? You look at Kristaps Porzingis, you look at Jaylen Brown, and you look at the Eagles, you go, man, there's star after star after star there.
AJ Brown and DeAndre Swift this last 2
Why
years.
isn't this team just better? And then Boston, it's the same thing. You're like, why is this team just not dominating everyone? Like, they should just blow. Like, the fact that this team has only made it to 1 finals and Jason Tatum just for some reason can't win an MVP. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a pretty dead ringer. I thought about that one too. There's another team that I kind of thought the Heat for, like just so close, but just can't finish the job at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Great young stars.
And the
Yeah.
crazy part is they could just take off and they both, like, the Eagles could win the Super Bowl. It wouldn't be crazy. And the Celtics could win a finals and it wouldn't be crazy. But
Yeah.
it's just Jason Tatum is one of those guys, just like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been not as long, right? The last couple of years, but Jason Tatum every year they're like, oh, watch out him for finals. He's a good not finals. Watch out for him for MVP. This could be his year. And then Joel Embiid plays better than him, and Jokic plays better than him, and
Yeah, we
Giannis
get halfway through the season, we're
star.
like, here it is. We're here. 40,
Yeah.
42, 41 games in, we're like, this is the year. And then the second 41 games, you're like, just kidding, never mind.
Yeah, they're so close, and the hard part is I want both of those guys. Like, I love, like, I think they're both great, and I want them to just kind of bust that next level and just prove to everyone that they're like, listen, screw you guys, we are good. I want them to do it, but they haven't done it yet. So
Yeah, I agree.
all right, that was fun. Any ones you felt like were way off or?
No, I mean, like, there's a couple of them when you look at like year to year success, right? Like when you had the Rams and the Warriors, right? The Warriors have struggled a lot this year, whereas the
Yeah,
Rams, despite having their problems, have still won a decent amount of games and are in the playoff race. But overall, the comparisons are there, and I do think like dead ringers, um, the Cowboys and the Clippers is probably your dead ringer,
that one felt.
pretty handily. And
That
again,
one,
I think once the Patriots get their quarterback, I think that one in the
yeah.
Spurs makes a lot more sense. But I like it.
Anyone who thinks the Patriots are going to trade up for a quarterback, I'm just going to like throw that out. Like, just stop doing mock drafts. Like, the first thing
Trade
that
up for a quarterback?
yeah, everyone has these guys
Oh.
like trading up. Anytime I read that in a mock draft, I don't know if I can take it seriously anymore. I'm just like, if there's
It's
one thing that don't do is trade up.
it's the same thing with us. Anytime I see Baltimore moving up, I'm like, as much as I'd like you to be right, you're wrong.
You're
It's not
wrong.
gonna happen.
It
Like
just it's not something they do. Like Bill
is
Belichick could like have loved Justin Fields. He would not have traded up. He would have taken if Mac Jones went at 14 and he knew he was going at 14, he would have been like, that's okay. We'll
oh
take a
wait,
guard. You
take
know?
Kenny Pickett next year.
Yeah. There's this inside linebacker I've been looking at. I think we'll take him and say, like, what are we doing?
Yep.
Never happened. But
Agreed.
all right, if you made it through part one, we greatly appreciate it. Part two will be up. It might not be labeled part two. I don't know. The part two thing feels weird to me. We do two shows basically every week. Um, in the next one, we're going to be talking about some headlines, some playoff scenarios, and we're going to give you our bets of the week. So if you like this one, give the next one a listen.